Okay. Yeah, I'm Pit Lad. I'm a street photographer. I was brought up in a tiny little village about 20 miles from Glastonbury in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so there wasn't much to document apart from my nan and family and landscape. When I started travelling when I was 19, that's when I started, because I was on my own, so I'd talk to anyone and then I'd take a photo. And it was just for my part of the, memory. It's nice to have a picture to go with a location. But that's what I try to do is document my life, really. In East Street, when I first moved back to Bristol, I kind of lived on the cusp of that. So I used to walk down there, and at first they didn't get it. Like, they were quite, not angry, just like going, oh, here's a weirdo with a camera. And then I said, you look in the history books and you see loads of pictures of people in the street. I said, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just documenting that as well as my life. I just think it's quite important. Like, so in 100 years, people can look back and see how people lived in 2020. I moved to Bristol in 2014, or just outside. It's in a little town, Keynsham, and it's a lovely little town, but there wasn't much to photograph there. And that's when I started doing music photography, because I love music. So I combined going to gigs and in the pit, and that's obviously where my kind of nickname came from. I'd done that to 2019. And then it was when I went to India, that's when it went back to people. Because I used to do walk-bys, I call it, where you take a photo without asking, and people don't like it. I used to have confrontation with people coming up to me quite angry then. And then I questioned myself one day and thinking, well, if someone done that to me, would I like it? And I thought, no, I wouldn't. So that's when I changed my kind of approach. And East Street was a perfect place to change, to get to know the people and document my life and their life. And it's either North Street or East Street. And East Street just seemed more like my village. It's more of a community. So that's why I thought, let's go down there and start getting to know everyone. And that is great, because when I go there now, 7 years on, I'm just a local. I used to be called a tourist. I've gone from a tourist to a local, which is, it's quite, humbling to have that, because it takes sometimes a while to get into a community. And it did. It took me a couple of years, definitely. There was an old lady though, Diane. She helped to get me into the community. People see me and her always talking. And so, that kind of built bridges. She reminded me she reminded me of my nan. She was quite old school, where she was quite a proud lady, but she was caring as well. The first time I met her, I said I had a cold, and she'd said, oh, hang on, and then went in the car and brought some lockets out and some tissue, she's proper old school. I like when the photography for me is, I've never been, I tag a little bit with my pen, when you're doing a graph or whatever, and I always think it's that same kind of buzz, and where I've kind of gone from taking a photo without asking, because that was a kind of a buzz at the time, but then I thought, well, I get why people get annoyed about it. I thought, let's go to risky kind of areas, or kind of places where not been photographed that much, because they think they're at risk. And I think I'll talk to anyone, and I don't think I'm in danger at all wherever I go. Yeah, you got to, sometimes be careful, but I like the risk element, I guess, of photography. Gives you that buzz. I I think it comes with age as well sometimes. And I just realise, treat people how, it's that old cliche, how you would want to be treated. And, it's kindness really, isn't it? Or trying to help, if you see someone upset, it kind of upsets me. And then that's when I want to help and try to put it right, and if you can help that person and they feel good, then you feel good again. And it's like, I take it home with me. It's even, the protests when it gets nasty, I take it home. I don't switch off. I can, if I could, then sometimes it might be better. That's where I don't think I'm like that normal photographer who's working for the Daily Mail, or, they're just doing it for the pay packet. I've been accused of poverty porn before, and I said I know their name, and I even cut the person's hair because I'm an ex-hairdresser. And even one guy had a bath at my house, and I clothed him, and it's like, this ain't poverty porn. They're saying, again, this is documenting my life because I met him and we talked, and he reached out for help, so I'm going to help him. I'm not doing it for the photo. I'm doing it for love, really, and I think that's quite important to do, is because it could happen. That's why I take pictures of people who live on the street, because it could happen to you, anyone. With you think you got the world sorted, and then bang, something gets taken away from you, and then you're on the street. So I think it's quite important to show people that they are real, they are human, and they're not subjects or little guinea pigs, or they all got a story, and it's not a great one. They're taking substances not for fun. I think people, when they say a crackhead, I don't like that word. He's ill, he's taking crack cocaine to escape his trauma from childhood, or she from a abusive relationship. There's always a reason. It's not because they're having a good time. It's like me when I was smoking copious amounts of weed, and my dad thought I was having a good time. I said, I'm not Bob Marley or Snoop Dogg, I'm trying to escape, that good time was when I was 16, 17. Yeah, of course I was having a good time, having a joint or whatever. But now, or not now, but at that time it was, to escape. So I get that, and that's why I document them, to shove it in people's faces who walk by and ignore them, to shove it in their face, basically. So have a think. And it has made people think, and that means a lot. Not many, but if I've changed a dozen people's mindset, then that's good enough for me. If anything, I hope it inspires other people to go out and document their life and, what they're seeing.